Hey everyone. So this is going to be a short channel update video, and as you can probably tell by the description, this one is going to be mostly focused on the announcement of setting up a Patreon for viewer funding and going over a bunch of the details related to that, as well as talking about some minor changes I'm going to be making to how I handle the video topics in the Tiberium lore series moving forward. For those who aren't interested in the Patreon stuff, I've placed timestamps on the video and below in the description so you can skip right to the next topic. So with all that said, let's just get right into it. So first off, for those that would like to send a little money to directly support the channel but don't want to do so via a subscription from Patreon, I've set up a PayPal, which I will include a link to down in the description box of this video and all of my future videos going forward. So just think of this as a tip jar and nothing more. Now, I've been thinking of setting up a way to allow for viewer funding for a while now, and I chose Patreon simply because it's the most popular and well-known of these kinds of services. I decided to go with a tier system, but unlike some other Patreons I've seen, I wanted to keep it simple with just 3 tiers. And I don't plan on going beyond these 3 now or in the future. I also want to clarify that unlike some creators who view Patreon as some kind of donation platform, that is not going to be my view of my own. I view it closer to a service like Netflix. So what I mean by that is, if you're giving me money through here, it is with the expectation that you are going to get something in return, which in this case would be a new video. Just like how if you have a Netflix subscription, there is the expectation that Netflix will continue to provide new TV shows and movies to you in exchange for that subscription. Now, unlike Netflix, which has thousands of employees and contractors, I'm just one guy. So while there's no way that I could ever provide the sheer amount of content that a site like Netflix does, I will always try to deliver new content that hopefully you will all enjoy on a regular basis. So going through each of the tiers, the first is the veteran tier, which is at $2. So here you'll get access to the Patreon feed where you will get to know what the next video I'm working on is as soon as I decide on the topic, as well as receive weekly updates on the progress of the video as it's in production. I'll even occasionally throw in a poll for people to vote on what topic they would like to see for the next video. Elite tier, for now, is just a slightly higher paying veteran at $5. I say for now, as I am open to adding another kind of reward at this level, but at the moment I'm just not sure what I could add that people would really be interested in. For example, I thought about including a reward where people would get to submit a question for an end-of-the-month Q&A type of video, but I don't think people watch my channel because they want to know my personal opinion on things. They watch it because they enjoy the actual videos I make, and in particular the lore videos. I also don't want to have any rewards that only allow the people of a certain tier to see a video or some other form of content that I've made. I believe everyone deserves to see whatever new content I upload to the channel, regardless of whether they are a supporter on Patreon or not. So until I figure out another reward to add here, it will just be like a higher paying veteran. But feel free to put some suggestions down in the comments below about an additional reward that you think would be good for this tier, and I'll give it some thought. Finally, there's the heroic tier, which is at $9. Here you'll get access to stuff in the previous tiers, but now your name will be listed in the credits at the end of the video. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I know this is all very basic as there really aren't any lavish rewards or access to some kind of merch store or anything like that, and that's because I want my main focus to be on making videos, and making more of them, without having to sacrifice on the current level of quality. So the main thing I really need in order to do that is time. So the more time I have to work on videos, the more of them I can make. Of course, it also depends on the topic or format of the videos as well, which affects the time it takes to complete them. generally speaking, longer videos take longer to make no matter what. In addition, some of the money I receive will also go to various upgrades to my computer or just my workspace in general. I know the main upgrade I would need at the moment is more hard drive space for recorded gameplay footage. That would be especially helpful for longer videos like the recent GLA faction video. There was so much gameplay footage I had to record for that one that I actually had to split the video into 3 parts and later combined them into one final render. So I would get all the footage I needed for part 1, render that out, and then delete all the gameplay footage I used for it, so that I could make space for the footage that I needed for part 2. So that was a very destructive way of working, but it was the only thing that I could do to get the video done. In the end, it was worth it, since the video did far better than I expected it would do, though that's also because the video's release happened to align with, let's say, real-life events when it came out, which was not my intention, even though some people in the comments of that video seemed to believe that it was. I actually wanted the video out at the end of July, but obviously it needed more work to be done. Also, more support here on Patreon means the less reliant I have to be on ads or sponsorships. So just to briefly talk about those, when it comes to YouTube ads, I get it. They can be really annoying, and it's easier to use an ad blocker so that you never have to deal with them. But I do get a portion of the revenue from those ads, and even though it's not that much, it does help support the channel. But if I could rely more on the money I make here on Patreon, then I would be comfortable with turning off some of the ads on YouTube, such as the overlay ones that pop up at the bottom of the video, or the unskippable ads that play before the video starts. As for sponsors, this is a subject I'm still on the fence about. I'm not totally against having sponsorships for some of the videos, but I also don't want to be like other content creators who just take up any sponsorship that gets thrown at them. So I have had a couple of sponsors already approach me, but I turned them down since I did not think that their products fit with the content of my channel. And in general, I'm just not comfortable with advertising products that I myself do not use and don't plan to use on a regular basis. For example, let's say, I don't know, Coca-Cola wanted to sponsor one of my videos. I personally don't drink Coke and have never really liked drinking Coke products in general, so I don't think it would be ethically okay for me to accept a sponsorship from them to advertise their product to my audience. So like I said, more support on Patreon means I don't have to rely on sponsorships now or in the future, including ones that I would potentially be open to for my channel. So yeah, that's really about it for the Patreon stuff. I know it doesn't really offer that much compared to others at the moment, but if you want to support the channel through here, then thank you. I really do appreciate it. One last thing I will say on this is that if you are strapped for money, or you're a student who's going through college, or you just don't really have much in the way of disposable income, then do not feel like you have to make a pledge here on Patreon or send a tip through PayPal. I think in that kind of situation, it's far better for you to focus on your own well-being, rather than being concerned with me and any of the content I make. I'm gonna keep making videos either way, so just relax and enjoy them like I assume you already do now. Okay, so moving on to the next issue, I'm going to be making some slight changes to how I handle topics within the CNC lore videos in the Tiberium timeline. So I've been thinking about what would be considered lore complete when it comes to the series, and the impression I'm getting from people is that I basically talk about every unit, building, weapon type, and major plot points that occur in the series. Now, originally, I wasn't planning on doing that, as I just wanted to focus on the topics that I personally found the most interesting, but I am willing to cover everything else if that's what people want. So really, this means that if you enjoy the Tiberium lore series, well, you're actually going to be getting more videos. But in order to cover everything in a more organized manner, I am going to be slightly changing the way I handle some of the video topics. So moving forward, I won't really be doing any more topics like the technology or weaponry focused ones, unless they are tied exclusively to a particular faction. So videos like the hover tech one, or particle beam weapons video, or EMP weapons that cover weaponry and tech that span multiple factions, those are not going to happen. Or at least there's not going to be as many of them as I was previously doing. But videos like sonic technology, which is exclusive to GDI, or laser technology, which is exclusive to Nod, those will continue. Basically, I think it would be better to organize the videos mostly based off the 3 major factions in the series. I also think that it will allow me to avoid repeating myself on topics in the future. Obviously, some of them do overlap each other, so some repetition is inevitable, but I think this new way of organizing them will be better in the long term. So that does mean that there isn't going to be a dedicated mechanized walkers video. Instead, the walkers will get covered within the respective arsenals of each faction. So GDI mech walkers will get covered as part of the faction's arsenal of ground vehicles used during the Second Tiberium War. The exception to this will be videos related to the mineral Tiberium. Tiberium weaponry is a topic that will get its own video, even though those kinds of weapons span all 3 factions. Well, mostly the Brotherhood of Nod and the Skrin, but still, that kind of video will be one of the exceptions to this new rule. It will be a part of other videos that are already focused on Tiberium-related topics, such as the Flora and Fauna video and the Harvesting, Refining, and Storage video. I also plan to do a couple of videos focused on a specific, what I'll call, legacy unit or building. And I define legacy as basically a unit or building that is seen throughout the entire series of CNC games, at least in the Tiberium timeline, whose design has also remained mostly the same. So a good example of a legacy unit would be the Mammoth tank. It's a vehicle that's been in every game in the timeline and whose design has remained mostly the same as well. A legacy building would be something like the Temple of Nod or Obelisk of Light. Though I have already covered the obelisk in great detail as part of the laser technology video, so I don't think it would be necessary for me to make a separate video just for the obelisk by itself. Same with other unique units like the Flame Tank, which have also been covered in the video on flame weaponry. So yeah, those are the small changes that I'm making to how I handle the topics of the Tiberium lore series moving forward. For the Generals series, there's only 2 videos in it so far, but for that series overall, the videos are going to be quite long. So when I get to doing the faction videos for the USA and China, those will be roughly the same length as the GLA video, which was almost an hour long. Right now I don't know when the next one of those videos will be out, since those do take longer to make, and I also prefer to focus on one video at a time rather than splitting the work between multiple videos. And I know some people are probably going to ask when I plan to cover lore in the Red Alert series, and I'd like to get either the Tiberium or Generals video series to lore complete, or at least close enough to lore complete first, before I start on the Red Alert series. And right now it actually seems like the Generals series will get finished before the Tiberium one does, since with Generals there was just one game and one expansion, whereas the Tiberium and Red Alert series span multiple games and expansions, so there's inherently more content to cover with them. I might even throw in a non-CNC related video every now and then, just to give myself a break from the series. But my main focus is still going to be on the Tiberium and Generals lore series. Alright, so that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover in regards to this channel update. The next video will be another Tiberium timeline video, and that one should be out sometime in October. Lastly, I want to give a big thanks to everyone who's subscribed to the channel since the last update video. And also I want to thank everyone who continues to watch the videos and like them and leave comments under them. All of that does allow them to do better in the algorithm and helps to grow the channel. And it also lets me know that people are enjoying the content I make and want to see more. So that's all I have for this video, and I hope to see everyone in the next one. Have a good day.